All right. Go ahead and get out your grammar books. We were just kind of catching up on stuff, Chase, and sharing stories and all that. So anyway, glad you made it to class, and we will get started. I always like to hear what you guys are doing. So Cassie, did you want to say one more thing?
Also, I forgot to tell you, but we came home late yesterday, so and then I didn't have enough time to finish it before we left, so my homework assignment might be a little bit late.
Okay, thanks for letting me know. That's okay. I understand you guys have been busy, so that's okay. All right, this is page 163 in your grammar books. We are getting very close to the end. Yes. So we're talking about, oh, this is a review page, by the way, so that's kind of nice. Talking about quotation marks, you guys know about that. And specifically capitalization, because there are some rules about what to capitalize when you have a quote. So remember, quotation marks indicate words are spoken. The quote is the sentence in quotation marks. The attribution is the person speaking and the speaking verb. Here's your example here that says, the princess cried, "My nose has grown too long." So you can see here, the attribution may come before the quoted sentence. Like here, the princess cried. So that's the attribution, that's who's speaking. And then the quote is what she's saying. But I wanted you to notice that there's a comma right there after the verb cried. And that's not like a boo-hoo cried, right? That's like she yelled or she cried out kind of thing. So the princess cried, and then this is what she says, and look at the capital. So anytime you have a quotation, the capital begins the sentence right here. Here it is, the opposite order. So my nose has grown too long, the princess cried. That's okay too, you can reverse that. The attribution may come after the quoted sentence. And notice the quote still has a capital, always. And then the attribution, when it comes after, does not have a capital here. And then it has a comma inside the quotation mark. Here is another one. My nose, the princess cried, has grown too long. So here it's broken up into two speaking parts of sentence right here. So the attribution may come in the middle of the quoted sentence. Here's the quote, attribution, and then the rest of quoted sentence. So notice here, always capital when you start a quote, comma, the princess cried, comma, and then more of the quote, but here you don't have to capitalize it because it's like she's finishing her sentence. So you don't have to capitalize right here. Regardless of where the attribution comes in relation to the quoted sentence, capitalization and punctuation rules remain the same. Place quotation marks around the words that are spoken, not the attribution. Capitalize the first word of the quoted sentence always. And then capitalize the first word of the attribution only if it begins the sentence. So way up here, the princess cried, that's when you capitalize it right there. And then we're going to answer these questions orally. I might have you jot down a couple things here too, but what are the attributions in the following sentences? So look at this one right here. My nose still looks terrible. She cried. So raise your hand if you know what the attribution is in that sentence. That's who's speaking and the speaking verb.
For my nose looks terrible, she's the one speaking. Good.
Yes. Good, Chase. So I want you to just underline this right here. She cried. That's the attribution. Go ahead and circle that word attributions right here too. That's what we're looking for, attributions. So she cried. You're right, Chase. She is the one speaking, and then cried is the verb. How about the next one? Princess, her father directed, just return the gifts. who is or what is the attribution in that sentence? Who's speaking in that sentence? I'll start with that. You can just unmute and
The
say,
father.
good, the father. And then the verb is directed. So it's her father directed. That's the attribution. It's telling whose father. It's her father, and how he said it, he directed it, right? He's giving instructions. Okay, and then this last question down here, what part of the quoted sentence must be capitalized? Anybody know what part must be capitalized in the quoted sentence? Okay,
The person who's saying it.
no, like they're talking about like within the quote. When you use quotation marks, what word is always capitalized when you have a quote?
That's pretty hard.
Okay, it's always the first word. See up here where we have my nose, my.
I thought it was like a trick question.
No tricks here. My nose here is capitalized, so it's going to be the first. Go ahead and write this in on yours. The first word. What part of the quoted sentence must be capitalized? The first word. It's just like a regular sentence. So anytime you have a speaking character in your story, whenever you're putting quotes around it, those quotation marks, that first word must be capitalized, always. Do you guys have any questions about the quotation marks or capitalization or anything from this page? If not, shake your head if you don't have any questions. Okay. Okay. All right, let's turn the page. Get to our practice page here on page 165. Cassie, could you read the sentence today, please?
The next day, the princess's long nose was worse. She was surprised that the apple didn't help her.
Okay, good. So worse is the vocabulary word. And that means like in poorer health than before. Like it's getting really bad now, right? It's getting worse. So go ahead and put a check mark there by vocabulary. Okay.
If her nose is getting longer and longer, that means she must be telling a lot of lies.
Right, you're thinking of Pinocchio, huh? That's what it was with him. No, hers, what made her nose start growing? Do you remember in the story?
No.
Does anybody remember what made her nose start to grow?
I don't know.
Wasn't it, didn't she eat something that made her nose grow or something like, I don't think she was lying. It was something else. You know, the whole story is in the back of your book, in case you ever want to go back and read all of it.
Oh,
That's a thing.
Uh-huh, in the back of
I
your
didn't
book.
notice.
Let's see.
Nose tree.
Okay, she ate, remember when she greedily devoured 12 apples? That's when her nose started to grow. Her nose started to feel funny.
Wait, didn't she like devour like 36 after?
Yeah, it was crazy. She ate so many apples. And so now she was trying to eat more apples to see if it would help it get better, but it's only getting worse. So it must be the apples, right? That's what I'm thinking.
Why would she need another apple to make it do better if the apples made it worse?
She's not the smartest princess, I will say that.
She's got a donkey head.
Okay, go ahead and write your articles in up here, and then go ahead and fill them. Oops, Cassie, I'm going to mute you. Your background sound is a little noisy there. So go ahead and label your articles here. They're all those. So Wyatt, help us to find 3 nouns.
All right, so it's next. Wait, no, I did
Noun is
that.
first
I
place,
did that
yeah.
opposite. A
Okay.
day, nose,
Good. Good,
and then apple.
good, nice. All right, Chase, how about the pronouns?
The pronouns are she and her.
Good. Okay, and then back to Cassie for adjectives. There's a bunch of adjectives in here. Remember, they describe the nouns.
Long,
Long, yep,
worse,
yes,
surprised.
yes.
Mm,
Remember, one of the words you can ask is whose, like whose long nose was it?
princesses.
Yes, so that would be an adjective. And then if you ask the word, if you ask which, like which one, which day was it?
Next.
Yes, there you go. Good. That's all of them. How about the that clause, Wyatt?
It's right next to the second. It's right next to the second AR next to apples, kind of.
Okay, just read the clause to me.
Oh. Well, it's that.
But the whole, you're right, it starts with that. So what's the whole clause?
That the apples did not help.
Good. That the apple didn't help her.
Kind of made me confused, but we're
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, you're okay. You got it. I knew you knew what it was. It was just a matter of telling us what it was. Okay, it always starts with that, and it usually goes to the end of the sentence. So when you're looking for the whole clause, you can read the whole thing. Okay, Chase, or is it Cassie's turn? No, it's Chase's turn. So what are the verbs? Let's start with that. Where are the verbs at, Chase?
The verbs are help,
Yes.
was,
Yes, good. These are linking verbs and was again, and there's more.
surprised, I guess, is a verb.
We already labeled that one. It's actually an adjective. But this is actually a linking verb right here, didn't. So that verb did, we label that one right there. That's a linking verb. Okay, let's see. It's a helping verb. I said linking verb. So didn't is helping verb, the verb help. Anyway. All right. So now we need subjects. So Cassie, what are the subjects, or what is the subject in the first part of the sentence?
Is it
What are we talking about here? The next day, the princess's long nose was worse. The verb is was. What are we talking about?
the subject is she?
Not in that sentence. Look at the first sentence here. What is it that was worse?
The nose.
Nose. So the subject is actually nose. Remember, it can be a thing. It doesn't have to be a person. And then in the second sentence, you're right. The subject is she. She was surprised. But then we have a that clause, right? That the apple didn't help her. And inside that one is also a subject.
Apple.
Yes, good. So the apple didn't help her. Good. All right. So now we have capitals. That's easy. That's just the first word, the first letter of each of these sentences. The end mark here, and we do have an apostrophe we need to fix. Wyatt, do you know where the apostrophe goes?
It's it didn't,
Yes, right here.
or
That's a
should I
contraction.
said did not.
Correct. Very good. So it's a contraction from did not, and they put it together and you need an apostrophe there. Okay, notice this is indented right here for you. So make sure when you rewrite it, you start here. Make sure you indent. And then go ahead and write your sentence. Okay, I see that. Wyatt, are you finished? Okay, good. Cassie? Awesome. You guys all finished at the same time. That's pretty good. Okay, go ahead and put your grammar books away or aside. And this last week, you guys were working on your Antarctica report. Give me a thumbs up if you've finished your Antarctica report. Is that up or down, Wyatt? Okay, it's up now. Cassie and Chase, did you guys get to finish yours yet? Or I know Cassie's still working on yours, huh? Okay. Okay. So before we get out the next week from your binder, does Wyatt or Chase, do you guys want to share your Antarctica report? You feel like reading it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna find it. There it is.
Yeah, okay. If you want to read it whenever you're ready, we'd like to hear it. Well, first, let me ask you this. Look at your report. Did you remember to underline your dress up words?
Yes.
Good. And did you remember to highlight your topic clincher sentences?
Well, I squared them.
Oh, put a square over them. Okay, that's fine. Good. And then did you remember to give it a new title?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So start by telling us the title and then go ahead and read it when you're ready.
Okay, so my mom actually said that this one, the title was actually pretty good and pretty creative.
Okay.
Cold desert.
Cold desert, yes.
Because at the start it says like, oh, Antarctica is actually a desert.
And normally we think of hot and dry and yeah.
No
So
I
water.
need to go to the bathroom, so.
okay, go ahead, Chase. Okay, Wyatt. So whenever you're ready, go ahead and read it. I like the title. That's really good.
Antarctica is cold and most of it is covered by ice and snow. However, Antarctica is actually a desert. Less than 4 inches of snow each year in Antarctica. In Antarctica, snow has been piling up for centuries. Some places in Antarctica can have 1 mile thick ice. 90% of all ice on Earth comes from Antarctica. Ice has been melting because of the hotter days, which makes the ice thaw, and 200 of water advances to the ocean. Okay,
Good.
so the next paragraph.
Okay, and you're talking about 200 feet of water, right? Did you have the word feet in
Yes.
there? Okay, good.
FT.
FT, which means feet. Okay, good.
It's a symbol, but save space.
It saves space, but when you start writing, you want to write it all the way out next time for your paragraph. In the keyword outline, it's okay to put FT. So just for future, I really like your first paragraph so far. It sounds really, really good. So go ahead and keep reading.
Antarctica does have life, but two flowers can grow, but only in the summer. In the cold, the penguins can adapt to the harsh climates. Seals, whales, and orcas can be spotted in Antarctica. At the end of summer, mammals migrate to the north because of the cold temperatures. Severe winds can hang on. Severe winds can, while migrating can be, that's kind of messed up, but
You can fix it if you need to. It's always good to read it out loud because that's when you see those little things.
I need to put a comma
Okay, good.
because like it's severe winds and then you instantly go to like, wow.
Oh, okay. See, you caught that. That's good. This is why we read it out loud. I really like that.
Severe winds while migrating can occur. Mostly they get there with which they stay until summer. I forgot to put the little thing. What was it? What was the little paragraph thing? It's just a sea with lines. Forgot to put like a new paragraph symbol there.
Oh, so yeah, next time you want to move down and then indent, okay? Yeah.
Yeah, but I kind of did that, and Mom said, "Oh, do it because I don't want you to just rewrite the entire thing."
Yeah, that's fine. The little paragraph symbol that tells me that you saw that. So yeah, you don't have to rewrite the whole thing. That's fine.
In 1821, Davis, a sealer who claimed to be to have set first foot on the ice. Explorers looked forward, exploring the continent, but it results in serious injuries and death. But the first building built in Antarctica was made out of rocks. Scientists made 30 teams in the Antarctica to study the water. Studying the temps and some other stuff that I kind of didn't know. Researchers got torrents reached to 4,000 to 5,000 in 1925. I just thought of that because it was like I looked in the Antarctica thing. The first the thing was like in 19 something. It was like in 1911.
Okay.
So I'm like, oh, if there's like researchers in like there in like a couple years, then it should be like 1925 or something.
Okay.
I was making up
I'll figure it
numbers. I didn't want to look on Google and like, oh, then I look back and I'm like, oh, it's wrong. Oh,
You just have to be careful when you do that though, in the future, because sometimes, it could be inaccurate information. It's okay for this one.
yeah.
Because you just did the math in your head a little bit and that worked out fine. So that was good though.
Yeah.
Good job, Wyatt. I really like your report. And I heard your dress up words and your clencher sentences, and Excellent. Excellent job. Good morning, Alexis.
Sorry I didn't join. I've been not been on top of my game this week. I forgot about class.
Oh, okay. That's okay. I did record this, so if you want to watch the beginning for the grammar later, you can. But what we're doing right now, we're done with grammar, and we're just talking about the Antarctica report, and Wyatt just volunteered to read his. And now we're going to move on to the next week. So Chase, go ahead and turn your camera back on if you're there. So let's go ahead and get out your binders. And we're finished with Antarctica. And remember, that was week 11. So all the things that you have for Antarctica, which is your this page, the initial page, if you have that, and then the actual article about Antarctica, and then the checklist about Antarctica, and your keyword outline, your paragraphs that you wrote, and even some, we had some notes from class. Anything to do with Antarctica now can go behind finished compositions. Okay, you guys.
Isn't it kind of weird that I ran out of space on my first page, and I just wrote, and at the very, and it's at like the very end, so I couldn't write much, and it was like three paragraphs. It was like 3 sentences.
You did good. I mean, you guys are learning how to make these reports with really good sentences. Can you believe how much you guys are writing? I don't know if you were writing this much before you started taking my class, but it's cool. You guys are learning how to do reports and big paragraphs and lots of really good words. I'm just super impressed at you guys. I know when we first started, when you turned in some samples at the beginning of class, you were just writing maybe 1 paragraph, maybe 2 paragraphs. And look at you now, you're writing these long papers. So good job. Cassie, did you have something to say?
Speaking of Antarctica, I think like last year they had ran a marathon there.
Oh, that's cool. Did you go there or did you just see it on TV or something?
On TV, they had showed it on TV. I didn't watch it, but they had just said on TV.
That would be hard to run there, I would think, because it's so cold. I can't imagine.
They were like running in shorts and sunglasses.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
They had to set that up. They're like, okay, this is gonna be the warmest day in Antarctica. We gotta get stuff and be ready for it. And guys, make sure you bring like 50 blankets with you.
Well,
Exactly.
if you were wearing regular clothes in Antarctica, you wouldn't be able to walk 30 steps without freezing
Right.
to death.
I know. It would be
Was
too.
it like
way too
inside? You
No,
didn't watch
that's
it?
I think it
Did they,
was
like-
outside.
Did they like just say that they wore it? Because like I'm pretty sure it's impossible to run Antarctica in like regular clothes without dying in the first.
Well, they
Well,
were-
it must have been a warm day, like you said.
Because I could, like in my story, the sun, the world has actually been getting hotter, so
Maybe
Yeah, but
maybe
even on
that's
the
part of it.
and
even
also
on
it's kind
the
of
warmest day,
Whoa, that was
even
loud.
on the warmest day in Antarctica, you probably won't be able to walk 30 steps.
Well, maybe you should research that and find out. But let's move on because we're running out of time here. But go behind the tab, source text tab, that first one. And some of you have this page in there and some of you don't. If you don't have it, don't worry about it. But you're looking for week 12, and we're going to learn about Marco Polo. So
really the oldest pool game in the book.
yep, the oldest pool game in the book for sure.
Honestly, I
We're
played
gonna
that with
take
my
out-
friends so many times.
Take out
Eric-
this one, the overview page, and then there's 2 pages of Marco Polo and then
Jeez.
the checklist. So you need to get out those 4 pages, page 97, 99, 101, and 103. If you don't have this one, don't worry about it, because I know some of you moved it to a different part of your binder.
I don't have it.
That's okay. So you need to
And
get
also
out.
that one's not really important.
It's not really important, exactly. But this
Honestly,
one,
I don't even know if I used that one.
that's okay. And this one is important. I think you have this one, Wyatt.
Yeah, I have both. I have both
That
of those
one,
ones in the
and then the
checklist.
Okay, perfect. So don't forget to close your rings after you
Nick,
get those
what
out.
pages do we need to pull out?
There's 4 pages. This one's page 97. It says Marco Polo week 12. It should be behind your source text tab.
Got it.
Okay, and then this one, which is page 99, this is the beginning of the story. You need that. And then this page, it keeps going. It's kind of a long one. That's 101. And then you need the checklist, and that's it. So don't forget to close your rings when you're done getting those out.
Was never to just be
Okay.
yourself. So I would be excited that somebody else said that.
All right, now,
Going on there with parents.
move that over.
Legit. We just don't care.
So we're still in unit 4, which is unit 4 is summarizing a reference. And like you did for Antarctica, it was a report that you did. And remember, in Antarctica, it had a lot of information, and you guys decided what topics are in the article, and then you picked the topic to write about for your paragraphs. So we're going to do that again with this one. You're already noticing, I'm sure, that this is a longer article. And this is different because this is about a person, which means it's a biography. You guys heard that before, a biography? That's a word. It's kind of a technical word when you're talking about literature or any kind of reference. A biography is all about a person, and usually it's a famous person. It could be a biography about an athlete or a president in the past, or a biography about a famous author or famous artist. I mean, it could be anyone, but biography means it's about a person. Well, this guy's name is Marco Polo. And like Wyatt says, that's the oldest pool game in the book, right? We all played it. I played it when I was a kid. I still play it in the summer when I'm with my family. You go, Marco, and then somebody is chosen, like one person is Marco. No, wait, how does it work?
Marco is the person who Marco is like the one person that has their eyes closed and tries to tag people.
That's only one Marco. And then
Yeah.
everybody else in the pool is Polo, right? So if you tag someone, then they
become Marco,
Yeah.
and then
But-
you become Polo.
Yes. Did you know it was a real person? Did you guys
No.
know that? So here you go. You're going to learn about this guy. He was a real person. So we're
He,
going to,
like traveled across the world and stuff.
you know a little bit about him, huh? That's-
Honestly, we don't play Marco Polo that much anymore because my friends always fight.
Oh,
Because I'm on my birthday parties, I mostly go to the pool, and
Okay.
I mostly invite Quentin in there, and they're like 2 brothers or two
Okay.
twins, and they were both of them would literally just say, "Oh, he opened his eyes" and stuff.
Yeah, I know. There's always that. Before we get started reading about Marco Polo, I need you to get out a clean lined piece of paper. And we're going to take a few notes to refresh your memory about a couple things. So go ahead and put your name here at the upper left-hand side. And today's date is April 18th, 2023. And we're going to call this Unit 4 Process. And that's writing a report, right? So we're learning again, we're practicing a little bit more, one more time, on how to write a report. This is so cool, you guys, because after you're done with my class, like next year or whatever, and your home teacher says, okay, you need to do a report on Abraham Lincoln, you're going to know what to do, right? When you read an article about Abraham Lincoln, you're going to know how to find the topics and make your paragraphs, you make your keyword outline, all of those little details. That's going to help you even after my class. So I'm excited for you because now reports aren't so scary. That's a good thing. Underneath that, let's put Marco Polo so we know what story this is talking about. And then skip a line, and we're just going to take some notes here. The first step when you're writing a report is to come up with the subject. Now, usually the subject is what your teacher tells you. You know, like for me, I'm going to tell you your subject is going to be Marco Polo. So we're going to put equals, the subject equals like a math symbol, Marco Polo. That is the main thing you're writing about. That's the big thing, the big subject. Okay. So whenever you get an assignment for a report, your subject, like Abraham Lincoln, that would be your subject. That's the big thing you're writing about. It could be, maybe they want you to do a report on volcanoes. So your subject would be volcanoes. Or they want you to do a report on the planet Mars. So your subject would be planet Mars. You get the idea.
That's gonna be kind of hard to do planet Mars.
Well, see, it won't though, because if you want to write a report about planet Mars, you would read an article about it and then decide what topics you want to pick from it. Just like I'll show you, it wouldn't be that hard, Wyatt. You could do it totally. So the second thing you do is find possible topics. So let's pretend your subject is planet Mars, Wyatt. The next step would be find possible topics. And remember, those topics are your paragraphs. So it's not that bad. You just need to look into the information and decide, are you going to write about the temperature on Mars, or the type of soil on Mars, or how far away Mars is from Earth? So those little details are what you would write about. Here, here we're going to talk about Marco Polo. So this is where the step right here is where you read your article and then you look for topics. So we're going to pause on the notes right here. Now go to your article. And this is where we will decide what topics there are. Okay, so Marco Polo, I'm going to go ahead and just read each paragraph, and then you guys are going to tell me what you think the paragraph is mostly about. And then we're going to make a little note in the margin here. Remember how we did that last time with Antarctica?
Yes, I was literally just going to say like, oh, just like Antarctica.
Yes, very good. Okay, so the first paragraph says, in 1254, that's the year. That's 1254. We're not even talking about 1954. It's like 1254. So
That's before World War I.
Yes, that is a long, long, long time ago. In 1254, Marco Polo was born into a rich merchant family. His father and uncle had traded in the Middle East for years, gaining wealth and fame. Although his mother died when he was young, he was raised in Venice, Italy, by relatives. He received a good education and learned the skills necessary for the business of trade. His father and uncle left for China when he was 6 and returned when he was 15. That's a long time. They had met the Mongol emperor who sent his greetings to the Pope. Okay, I'm going to stop there for a second. Do you guys know who the Pope is?
Now,
That
Someone
is
like religious leader or something.
good, Chase. He is a religious leader in the Catholic Church. And he wears a certain robe and a big hat. You might have seen him on TV before. but he's the leader in the Catholic Church. And so they traveled he lived in Venice, Italy, and then they traveled to China. So that was a big trip, because Italy and China are pretty far apart in the world. So after reading that first paragraph, what do you think that's mostly about? What is that paragraph talking about? You guys have any ideas? No? What do you think, Alexis? What is that paragraph mostly talking about?
Kind of their life story.
His life story, I agree. It mentions his father. It mentions his mother died when he was young. Talks about his family, right? So we could call this early life. And I'm going to write in pencil here because oh, you can't even see that, can you? Never mind. Hold on. Let me use my plastic. I don't really want to use pen on this because I want to reuse it. So what I'm going to do is put early life. This is talking about like his childhood. There we go. His childhood, his family, kind of early on in his life when he was born and those kinds of things. Okay. Next paragraph is a bigger paragraph right here. When Marco was 17 years old, he left with his father and uncle on a trip across Asia to China. So he went back again to Asia and China. They set off from Venice in 1271 and sailed to Israel. They carried letters from the Pope in Rome. In Jerusalem, they were given some sacred oil to present to the Mongol emperor. 2 friars were ordered to accompany the merchants, but they abandoned the expedition. Okay, so friars, do you know what friars, who they are? No, they're actually, and it's not friar like French friar, not that, spelled differently, right? So friars are other leaders in the Catholic Church. They're a member of a religious order. So they're more religious people. And then that word abandoned means they left, right? They just left the expedition. So they said, we're done, we're out. We're not going to travel with you guys anymore. So they left. Okay, so
Honestly, I think a lot of people know what abandoned is. Like someone abandoned this home and has spider webs everywhere.
yeah, exactly.
Someone died here and it says that their ghost still lurks.
Abandoned ship.
Abandoned ship. Yes.
Some of that mumbo jumbo.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So instead of sailing around India to China, the Polos decided on an overland route or route. It's one of those words you can say either way. Passing through Iran and the Afghanistan, they continued east. The Polos' caravan traveled over mountains and through deserts, following the oasis. After more than 3 years of travel, they finally reached the court of the Emperor Kublai Khan. Okay, I'm going to just show you a map really quick because I kind of want you to see how he traveled. And then that kind of gives you in your head a little bit more of an idea. Okay, let's see. Let me share this. This is a map of the world. Okay, and here is Italy, right where my cursor is. That's where he grew up. Here's China. And initially they were going to sail there, but in order to sail to China,
You gotta go all the way around.
all the way down here around Africa, back up through the Indian Ocean, through here, or actually through right here, between Australia and Indonesia, up and around the Philippines and then get to China. So they decided that they would pass through land, that was going to be a little bit easier. So they did a little short trip from Italy over here to Iraq and Iran area. And then they did a land trip. And so they hiked and walked all the way over here to China. And it took them 3 years to get there. From Italy to China, it took 3 years. So you can imagine that's a long
That just took 3 years. The guy that literally went across the world must have taken him like 9 years.
Oh yeah,
around the world.
Definitely a long time around the world for sure. This was before our convenient airlines that, you can just get in an airplane and travel to China and be there by tomorrow morning if you wanted to. All right, so this is mainly about his travel to China. That's what I'm going to put in my notes in the margin, travel to China. That's mainly what that part's about. Okay, so now we got to turn the page over. We got more paragraphs on the back here. We'll read this, and then we're going to decide what these paragraphs are about. The great Khan was delighted to see the Polo brothers again. He received with joy the letters and gifts they brought, discovering that young Marco was intelligent and had a talent for languages. The Khan appointed him to high posts in the government, probably as tax collector. He also went on special missions for the Khan, traveling throughout China and to Burma and India. His father and uncle possibly assisted as military advisors during the siege of Saianfu. During this time, Marco and his family gained wealth as well as the favor and protection of the Khan. So obviously Marco was a very smart man and he knew lots of languages. So immediately they liked him and wanted him to be part of their government throughout China. So he was actually a tax collector, which is part of the government. I wouldn't want that job because nobody likes taxes, right? So if you're going to collect taxes, not very many people are going to like you, right?
The taxes, a tax is a guy actually they're actually a hot spot for burglars.
Yeah, it
was actually a very dangerous job.
Yes.
And actually that's how the pincher would like those the dogs that some police use and they have small little tails.
Doberman pinchers.
Yeah, Doberman pinchers. They were actually created to help the taxmans, to protect the taxmans.
Yes, because they're pretty vicious dogs. They can fight. So this would be really about his work in China. So I'm going to put work in China. That's what this paragraph is mostly about, his work in China. Oh, let's see. Alexis got kicked out, so I'm going to let her back in here. All right, I'm going to keep going because we're running out of time here. So let me read the next paragraph. The Polos remained in service to the Khan for 17 years. When they decided to leave, he asked them to escort a Mongol princess to Persia, where she would marry. They departed with 14 ships, the princess, and many hundreds of servants and sailors. Sailing south, they rounded Malay and the southern tip of India to finally land at Hormuz. I think you can say that, Hormuz in Persia. So that map I was showing you, they actually took the sea route back to Italy. The journey took 2 years, and most of the passengers and crew died from disease, drowning, or pirate attacks. So their travels were rough. After delivering the princess, they continued by land to the Black Sea, from where they were able to sail home, reaching Venice in 1295. They had been gone for 24 years and traveled almost 15,000 miles or 24,000 kilometers. So a total of 24 years they were gone, and then they finally went back home. But instead of taking the land route home, they decided to sail. Did you have something to say, Cassie?
Yeah, pirates are still real, basically.
Yeah, they are. They're not as common as they were back in the 1200s, right? But this was pirate times.
Yeah, so they're like ship hijackers or something like that.
Yep.
If
They're
you have a boat that's not like registered and you go off of international lands, you're a pirate and the Navy can hunt you down. So
wow, Chase, very interesting information, and you're right about that. So it's basically if you don't have your ship registered, then that means
basically, if you don't have a flag on your ship, you can commit any crimes if you're out of international waters and you don't have your boat registered, because there's no laws out sea if your boat wasn't registered, so you're pirates, and the American Navy can hunt you down.
yeah.
Imagine if a pirate like took your boat and then you took their boat, but then you go back home and you got died by the Navy.
Yeah, because they would hang you for treason, right? Because you're a thief and you stole their stuff and you stole the boat and everything. So yeah, the end result for a pirate is not worth it, just so you know, in case you ever thought about that.
Unless you
And
have Jack Sparrow.
in San Diego, they have a lot of like military. They're like Marine Corps and many Navy bases.
Oh yeah.
A
So
lot.
this paragraph is mostly about his travel home, right? So let's just put travel home. He was getting back to Italy, and that's his journey. And then along the way, he brought the princess with him. A lot of times in that era, in the 1200s, your marriage was prearranged by your parents. So someone wanted her to be his wife. And so it's not like that anymore, but they basically had to take her to where her future husband was in Italy. So interesting. I'm kind of glad it's not like that anymore, because that's kind of odd. And let's go on to the next page here. This one, we have 2 more paragraphs to go. This one says, we're going to write a note on this margin too. In addition to various valuable trade items, the Polos brought back to Italy many interesting spices, including peppercorns, cinnamon, and ginger, which quickly gained in popularity. We use ginger a lot with like sushi. If you guys like sushi, anybody like sushi in this class?
I hate sushi.
Chase is nodding. He likes sushi. How about you, Cassie? You like it? And they serve it at the restaurant. You can actually put it in your little dipping sauce, and it really makes it like
It's called
really
soy
flavorful.
sauce.
It's spicy.
Well, it's I'm not what is it called? It's like
Soy sauce.
green.
Oh,
Wasabi.
Mozzarella.
wasabi. That's it. Uh-huh. Okay. That's very spicy too. But anyway, 3 years after his return to Venice, Marco Polo was fighting in a war against the rival city of Genoa. He was captured and sent to a prison in Genoa. There, with help from a well-known author named Rustichello, he wrote a book of his travels. He described Kublai Khan and his palaces, paper money, coal, a postal service, and eyeglasses, none of which had been seen in Europe yet. After a year in prison, the war was over, and he was freed to return to Venice. Eventually, he married, had 3 daughters, and continued as a successful merchant until his death in 1324 at age 70. So this paragraph is mostly talking about his life after his travels. So let's just put life after travels. Put that in the margin there. Life after travels. So Alexis, you must be having internet problems this morning, but we're on page 101 and we just finished that paragraph there. So you can write that in.
Okay.
All right, we're actually out of time. I just checked the time. We're a little late, actually. So we're gonna have to save this last paragraph to read next week. Okay, so here's what we're doing
Okay.
for work. You're actually not gonna have any new writing assignment this week, so you can do a little celebration dance, woohoo! And I want you to turn in your Antarctica report, and then I'm gonna give you feedback on Google Classroom, and there might be some changes. So if I want you to change anything, that's what I want you to do for your homework and then turn it back into me. But we're going to save this for next week to get started on Marco Polo. So you'll have grammar as usual, and then look for notes from me from this last article or report from Antarctica, and then you can fix a few things on that if you need to. You guys have any questions about homework? No questions? Okay, well, good job today, you guys, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.